Welcome back to Therapy Unzipped. I wanted to tell you today that you need to stop waiting for your life to get easier. That's not the point, and I'm going to give you the keys. Today, a story. Imagine you're hiking through the mountains and you've spent hours making progress. The weather's perfect. You finally find your rhythm, and then around the next bend, you come across a massive boulder lying directly across the trail. Have you heard this before? It's too big for you to move it, too steep to climb over. And your first thought is probably, well, there goes my hike. And you stand there frustrated, wishing someone would come move it. Maybe I turn back around. And you begin to wonder, why did this have to happen to me today? And maybe you contemplate turning back around, but the weather's perfect. You've had a great hike so far, and you're determined to get through the path. But you notice something. Around the side of the boulder, barely visible, is a narrow footpath. And it's rougher than the original trail, maybe a little steeper, full of roots and loose rocks. And it takes a little bit more effort, and you have to pay attention to every step. But when you finally reach the top, get over that boulder, the view, it's incredible. You're proud that you stuck to it, that you figured out a way. And you would have never seen that view if you had stopped your hike then and turned back around. If things had remained easy. Sometimes the obstacle doesn't block our journey. Sometimes it changes the journey into one you were meant to take. And that's exactly what Marcus Aurelius was talking about nearly 2,000 years ago when he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." A more recent author, Ryan Holiday, took that simple sentence and built an entire philosophy around it in the book, The Obstacle is the Way. So today, let's unpack what that means, and more importantly, how it can change the way we experience everyday life. So here's the big idea. Most of us spend a tremendous amount of energy trying to make our lives easier. We tell ourselves once this stressful session or this season or whatever this thing we're experiencing is over, then things will be good. Once my anxiety settles down, once the kids are older, once I find the right relationship, then yes, my life will begin and I'll finally be happy. But what if we're thinking about it backwards? What if the difficult season isn't interrupting your life? What if it's creating the person you need to become? Confidence isn't built when everything goes according to plan. Patience isn't learned when everyone cooperates. Courage isn't developed when nothing scares you. Every quality we admire in another human being was forged because life became difficult. Steel isn't made strong without heat. Diamonds aren't formed without pressure. And people aren't shaped without adversity. So here are 5 actionable things that I want you to do as soon as you can. This changes everything. 1, stop asking, why is this happening to me? But instead, ask, what is this trying to teach me? That mindset shift changes everything. Just that one question. What is this trying to teach me? When we ask, why me, we often become stuck. When we ask, what can I learn? We begin moving. Maybe this obstacle is teaching patience. Maybe it's teaching boundaries. Maybe it's teaching you to finally ask for help. Or maybe it's simply proving that you're capable of handling more than you could have ever imagined. Life, sadly, doesn't always explain itself. but it almost always offers an opportunity for you to grow. Number two, focus on what you can control. One of the central ideas of Stoicism is just incredibly simple. You don't control what happens. You control how you respond. And that doesn't mean pretending everything is okay. It means refusing to let circumstances make every decision for you. When life feels overwhelming, ask yourself, what is one thing I can influence today? Maybe you can't fix the relationship, but you can control how you communicate. Maybe you can't eliminate your anxiety right now, but you can choose to go for a walk, to make an appointment with a therapist, practice your breathing. Take the next small step. Because progress rarely comes from giant leaps, but it comes from consistent, intentional choices. Number three, walk toward the difficult thing. Our brains are wired to avoid discomfort. That's survival. But growth often asks us to move forward towards it. The difficult conversation, the therapy appointment, the apology, the workout, the medical test you've been avoiding, the application you keep putting off. The obstacle usually grows larger the longer we avoid it. Action shrinks that fear. Avoidance feeds it. You don't have to conquer the mountain today, but just take one honest step. Number four, rewrite the story. One thing therapy has taught us over the years is that two people can experience the exact same event and carry completely different stories. One might say, "This has ruined my life," while the other says, "This changed my life." Neither person is denying the pain. They're just assigning different meaning to it. And meaning matters. Our stories shape our emotions. This is why therapy isn't about pretending bad things didn't happen. It's about helping people discover that the worst chapter of their lives doesn't have to become the title of the entire book. Number five, reflect before you sleep. Here's a practical Marcus Aurelius quote that he did nearly every day. Reflection. Before bed, he would ask himself these three simple questions. What challenged me today? What did I learn? And how did I grow because of it? Pain without reflection often becomes bitterness. Pain with reflection becomes wisdom. The obstacle becomes the teacher. One of the greatest privileges of being a therapist is watching people discover this truth for themselves. I've seen veterans transform unimaginable trauma into service. I've watched first responders rediscover purpose after tragedy, and I've seen clients walk through addiction, grief, divorce, panic attacks, depression, and loss. None of them wanted those experiences. None of them would have chosen that road. But many of them will tell you, I wouldn't be who I am today without going through it. It doesn't mean that the pain was good. It means something good eventually grew from the pain. There's an important difference. So I challenge you today, in this brief episode, here's the question that I'd like for you to sit with. What obstacle have you been treating like a dead end? Maybe that's a difficult conversation. Maybe it's grief you've been avoiding. Maybe it's a fear that you've allowed to make your decisions for you. Maybe it's a dream you've convinced yourself is too late or too big or too expensive. Instead of asking, how do I get around this? Try asking, how might this become my path forward? Because Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the obstacle isn't always standing between you and the life you want. Sometimes the obstacle is the road that leads you there. And remember this, life doesn't become meaningful because the obstacle disappears. It becomes meaningful because little by little, we become the kind of people who can carry them. So I charge you today, engage with these five things. See the obstacle as your new path. The key is action. You don't need to sit and think about it or complain about it or wait until something outside of you changes. You change through your actions. And so I hope that this has helped you today. I hope that it has caused you to think and reflect and decide on what your next moves are going to be. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Send the email therapy unzipped, questions at therapyunzipped.com. And we'd love to interact with you. What are your challenges? What are your obstacles? What things have you been avoiding? And let us know how we can help you move through them. We hope that you guys have a great rest of the week. We'll see you next time.